Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move the motion relating to Australia and Cambodia in the terms in which it appears on the notice paper. The motion that I move speaks for itself, but time only permits focus on a few aspects. When I last spoke on Cambodia, I made clear my view, strongly held, that enough is enough, that it is time that Australia honoured the legacy of Gareth Evans and the then Labor government in support of peace and democracy and examined sanctions on Hun Sen's regime, including visa bans and asset freezes. Events were bad enough then, but in recent months, the opposition leader, Kem Sokha, remains under house arrest even though their fake election is over, in which, farcically, Hun Sen's CPP won 125 seats out of 125 seats. Shockingly, the Australian filmmaker James Ricketson was convicted on trumped-up charges. Hun Sen is now jailing Australian citizens. What on earth will it take for this government to stop sipping champagne with a dictator? Australians who are not familiar with the history and the situation in Cambodia may well wonder what this has to do with us. Aside from our legacy, aside from good international citizenship, there are growing concerns in the Australian community, especially those people of Cambodian heritage, that this thuggish regime's tentacles now reach our cities and suburbs, influencing our politics, committing crimes here and exploiting and threatening Australians. In August, I hosted Mona Kem, daughter of Kem Sokha, here at the Parliament. In her meeting with the then Foreign Minister, they discussed the potential for tougher measures. I understand the then Minister expressed doubt as to whether targeted sanctions by Australia would have any effect. Cambodians fighting for democracy argue that in fact the regime would be most concerned by Australian action, second only to the UK, as so many senior members of the regime come and go with family and assets here. I have no confidence that our desperate, divided caretaker government will act, and so I will use my remaining time to name just a few of the people of concern to those in the Australian community who fight for peace and a true democracy in Cambodia. Some of these people warrant consideration for sanctions such as visa bans and asset freezes to put pressure on Hun Sen's regime. An important caveat is that some now may be Australian citizens, so visa bans are not available. Some warrant investigation for crimes, including money laundering and worse. Many should register when the new foreign influence laws take effect, as they're trying to influence Australian media and MPs, including Liberal MPs. The CPP elite, Hun Manet, Hun Sen's son, has visited Australia many times and oversees CPP political infiltration operations here and in New Zealand. Hun To, Hun Sen's nephew, has children and assets in Melbourne, has been implicated in a heroin and money laundering syndicate targeting Australia. Dai Vichia, Hun Sen's son-in-law and Cambodia's deputy police chief, a gangster force, has mysterious business in Australia, Cambodia and China. Kong Vibol, the head of Cambodia's tax department, involved in shutting down Cambodian media, has owned millions of dollars of property in Australia, including in suburbs in my electorate, and appears to have falsely claimed he's an Australian resident. Kim Santpeep, from Cambodia's Ministry of Justice, involved in CPP's Australian operations, visited with Hun Manet and described to me as a vicious and a sharp operator. The CPP has divided Australia and New Zealand into regions and has front groups overseen by key people in most Australian capital cities. Lau Van, in Melbourne, has business links to Hun Sen, an army general, and apparently has children at an elite school in Melbourne. Hu Hap, Sydney, holds Australian citizenship now. Vong Visid in Brisbane, in Miatra in Adelaide. There's Sara Nari, or Jason Nari, a CPP operative making connections with the Liberal Party. Ravuth Luck, alleged involvement in money laundering and labour hire scams. We have information regarding dodgy community fundraising events organised by other goons, such as Tong Eng Tay and Funny Tai. Accusations that Sam Nung Ho is a CPP operative running Chompran enterprises involved in labour hire rorts in southeast Melbourne, ripping off workers. We have 6 Australian community groups who are really just local fronts for the CPP, reportedly run out of their embassy in Canberra. Koi Kwong, Cambodia's ambassador to Australia, is president of the CPP Committee for Australia and New Zealand. And there's media reports suggesting that the Cambodian embassy has been involved in smuggling black market alcohol and tobacco. Now, regarding the money laundering allegations, Australian banks may have been loaning money and facilitated transactions, which of course raises questions about their compliance with anti-money laundering laws. Now, ministers of this government assure us that don't worry, money launderers will be caught. Well, I don't believe them, because Australia's anti-money laundering laws are shamefully weak. They cover banks, but they still do not cover other critical gatekeeper professions, most importantly real estate agents, accountants and lawyers. The government's ongoing failure, their silence, their failure to even list one speaker on this motion when giving tens of millions of dollars for refugee deals with Cambodia is a disgrace, and it's about time they fronted up and spoke up.